Alright. Finally back in the gym after what feels like an eternity, but it was only 3 days off. So last video you would have seen on the channel was the chest side delt bicep session that I did on Monday. And it's currently Saturday, so I had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off the gym. I trained on Tuesday, but I was training with John and Franz, just two of the guys that I know at this gym. And so as soon as we were training together, I didn't really want to record it. And it's also, it was a bit of a, I guess you could say a YOLO training session. It wasn't one of my typical training sessions. It was more of a glute hamstring focused leg day, whereas I normally do a quad focused leg day on Tuesdays. So I was kind of just following suit in regards to what John and Franz were doing. And yeah, it was a good session. Just difficult to record when you're training with people, you know, because you're chatting and there's a lot of distractions. It's not really a super productive session when you train with people, but it was a good session. I enjoyed it, and we still trained hard. It just wasn't as applicable to me because it wasn't an actual session from my training week. So I still treated it as a leg session. Like, I'm not going to do 2 leg sessions plus that one, but trained with them on Tuesday. Then Wednesday I went into the hospital for what I thought was the initial consultation to sort out that cyst that I had on my lip. And what happened was the initial consultation turned into my surgery date. I got fast-tracked over to the plastic surgeon's department, and essentially they operated on me on that day. So it went from 0 to 100 pretty quick. And I am not used to that, because in Australia, if you go see a surgeon, if you go to a doctor to get surgery done, you have your initial consultation. You never get surgery on the day of your initial consultation. Like, that's unheard of. Usually you'll do the initial consult and then they'll give you an approximated cost of the service, or the surgery. I mean, not the fucking service, it's not a fucking prostitute. The surgery. And from there, basically, you book in a agreed upon date and time for the actual procedure to take place, and then you come back on the day of surgery and get the job done. But I literally had everything done in the one day: the initial consult, the referral to the plastic surgeon, and then the actual surgery from the plastic surgeon itself. The anesthesia, the local anesthetic, wore off halfway through the surgery, which was not fun. However, basically I got it sorted, which I'm happy about. So the silver lining to it, or like the positive to it, is that it's just sorted, it's done and dusted. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But it was incredibly painful when the anesthetic wore off, that's for sure. And so essentially what happened is I had swelling pretty severely for the first couple of days. I couldn't speak, I couldn't eat for the first day. It looked like I was an African American boxer that had their lips busted up and they were swollen as hell. There was no hope in me putting anything in my mouth without it touching my lip and just setting shit off. And I had the worst night's sleep the night following surgery. Like, I woke up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. Ended up getting up quite early that morning, but it allowed me to reset my body clock, that's for sure. So it was a blessing in that sense. So now I've finally restored my sleep schedule and my circadian rhythm. I'm getting up at a normal hour, going to bed at a normal hour, which means I'll be able to return to AM PM training sessions as of next week. Because a big kind of obstacle that was getting in my way still of returning to AM PM sessions was unfucking my sleep schedule, essentially. So yeah, I had 3 days off, and now it's feeling good. I'm back into training, but because of this, I'm probably only going to hit everything once this week. I'm not going to have sufficient time to get anywhere close to my full week of training in. So I'm just going to treat it as an unplanned deload week and just go harder next week. already did a warm-up set, so I'm going to do the first working set. Instead of doing 5 plates aside like I usually do, I'm going to clean up my technique and just do 4. We're going to be very strict with my execution. I just want to milk as much out of the least possible. So progressive overload is important, but only if you're standardizing reps and keeping the quality there. And I felt the last couple of weeks when I upped the weight to 5 plates per side, I don't want to admit it, but I think that my technique was getting a little bit sloppy, so I just backed it off to 4 plates a side. It's still a reasonable amount of weight. I mean, 445s a side is a decent amount of weight for a pull down. And yeah, I'm just going to hammer out 3 sets of this. So first working set coming right up. Last week, I believe I was doing 140 pound for sets of 9 to 10. So I'll stick to 140 pound because obviously I'm only scraping into the bottom end of the rep range of 8 to 12 for this exercise. But I might hit a rep PB. Because with the extra time off, the rest over the last 3 days, coupled with the fact that I scaled the weight back a little bit on that first exercise, I should have it in me to see out at least a 1 rep PB on one of these sets, preferably all of them, so we'll see how we go. Back's already warm, so I won't bother warming up for this. Maybe I don't have it in me to hit a rep PB. We'll have to wait and see. That was only 9 reps, I believe. Unless if my counting failed me, which is highly likely, all things considering. We'll just have to wait and see. When I rewatch the footage, I'm pretty sure that was 9. So 2 more sets of this, then on to the unsupported T-bar row. Good old-fashioned, old-school T-bar. However, actually I think the attachment was missing last time I looked, so I might not be able to do those. I might have to do the chest supported, which isn't a big deal because I do have the unsupported bilateral bent over dumbbell row on my second back session. I'm not going to get the second back session in this week, I just realised. Shit, that is a bit of a problem. Oh well, I'll just treat it as more of a deload if I can't do the unsupported T-bar, if I have to do the chest supported. Still, the same amount of stimulus for the majority of the back, just a little bit less posterior chain involvement, which isn't the end of the world if it's only 1 week, 1 session. That was 10. So I do have it in me. Didn't quite fully contract on that last rep. That's not a big issue though on back. In particular I find there. I mean in general, loaded stretching is going to mediate hypertrophy more than loaded shortening of a muscle. But I definitely find specifically for the back, loaded stretching is far superior. At least in my case it's been that way. Could be different for somebody else, who knows. Bit of a rest and 1 more set of these. Then it'll be onto the T-bars. If I do end up doing the chest supported, I might do 3 sets. Just because I'm going to get less total fatigue across the course of each set in comparison to say like an unsupported T-bar row. So it should afford me the opportunity to do a 3rd extra set, get more total effective reps while still not exceeding the amount of fatigue I would have accumulated from 2 sets of unsupported T-bar rows. I would prefer to do unsupported T-bar rows though, so we'll see if we can find the attachment first. Could have controlled the negative a little bit on that one. Controlled it a little bit more. Anyway, it's done now. It's always important to self-reflect on the sets that you do though. There's always room for improvement. And if you never think that's the case, then you're sorely mistaken. So, 2 sets of T-bars if I do unsupported, or 3 if I do supported. Let's see if we can find it. Find the attachment. Could not find the attachment, which means it's supported T-bar for today. Which means 3 sets instead of 2. And you would have noticed with the exercise I did before, because I'm doing 2 rows, and you're probably thinking, well, isn't that overkill? Potentially, yes, if you're using a similar grip and using similar target muscles or like main movers. So the other one, I was doing a pronated grip, overhand grip, and I was taking a more moderate to wide grip, which is going to help target the, just to say, just the upper back, for lack of a better term, just to put it into layman's terms. Whereas this, I'm going to be targeting more the lats specifically. So one's more kind of upper back focus, hitting the traps, rhomboids, teres. This is, and the rear delts, and this is going to hit a little bit more lat. Still going to get everything else involved, but just going to be a little bit more lat specific. So a narrower grip with this, neutral or parallel, not pronated or not overhand, and focusing on full flexion at the bottom, full extension at the top. So full range of motion. When you do full range of motion on these, you don't need a lot of weight, especially if the machine, the empty machine, is goddamn heavy like this bench fitness T-bar row is. Tell you what, the knurling on this is brutal. It's very coarse knurling, so I mean, your grip strength definitely won't be a limiting factor, but the amount of pain it causes could cause your grip to be a limiting factor. But it's not grip strength related, that's for sure. Because the amount of knurling on these handles, you'd be flat out losing grip on them, even with half your grip strength applied. So it's definitely a well-designed machine, to be honest. It just destroys your hands if you're not used to it. If you've got pretty calloused hands though, you'll be fine. So 2 more of those, and then on to rear delts to finish off the back portion of today's training. Then I'll most likely do rear delts and triceps in the home gym tonight, because it's about 10 past 5 in the evening right now, 5:10 p.m. and I've still got to go to Starbucks with the fiance. We're going to do some planning. Final exercise, just reverse flies for rear delts and upper back. And because this isn't just purely to isolate the rear delts, I don't mind if we get a little bit of scapular retraction in it. I do try to limit it a bit though, otherwise the rear delts don't get anywhere near as much stimulus as they could. So focusing mostly on abduction, but a little bit on retraction too, just not a great deal of it. 4 sets of this I believe, so 4 sets of this, and then it's this training session wrapped up. Head home, shower, Starbucks, planning with the fiance, and then home, second gym session. A little bit of work before I do the podcast tonight. I think I've got 2 podcasts tonight, the anabolic bodybuilding one, and then also one before that with Kurt. I'll just have to double check because sometimes Kurt and I reschedule our video call or our podcast. And then bedtime. Rest pause. On to the last two exercises now for triceps. Just waiting for that. Didn't want to do my set till I burped. I can feel that coming. That's what she said. All right. Now, despite the fact that I only recorded one of those sets of tricep extensions on the machine, I did do 3. I just don't have enough memory space to record all 3 if I'm going to record at least a set of this too. So I'm doing 3 sets of both tricep movements. This is a crossbody cable extension, one of the OG exercises I used to do, which I haven't done for a while. I'm just adding it in just for some extra volume, seeing as I'm missing one of my tricep sessions this week due to having 3 days off. Otherwise I'd be following the plan, because following the plan is what gets results. Might actually lower these a little bit, they feel a bit too high. Because you want to line the cable up with the joint, or with the muscle I should say. Target muscle, joint, whatever you want to say. But I think having it, so that might be a little bit too far. Oh, that should be right.